All right, let's talk vaccines this hour. Russia says it has become the first country in the world to register a vaccine to treat COVID-19. The regulatory approval follows less than 2 months of human testing. The move, hailed by Moscow as evidence of its scientific advancement, paves the way for the mass inoculation of the Russian population. In making the announcement, President Vladimir Putin said the vaccine had passed all required checks and that his daughter had already been given it. More than 100 possible vaccines are being developed around the globe, with at least 4 in the final phases of human trials. The Russian vaccine is not among the World Health Organization's list of 6 vaccines that have reached phase 3 clinical trials, which involve more widespread testing in humans. Experts have raised concern about the speed of Russia's work, suggesting that researchers might be cutting corners. The WHO says any vaccine candidate will require a rigorous safety data review. All right, we'll talk about this. First, let's just quickly update our own figures. South Africa now has 563,598 positive cases identified of COVID-19, and the death toll, unfortunately, above 10,000, 10,621. More than 3.2 million tests conducted. We're now joined by Professor Marc Mendelson from the University of Cape Town. Professor, thank you for being with us tonight. Firstly, the Russian vaccine, are you among the skeptics tonight?
It's difficult to say because we just don't have the information. As you said in your introduction, normally a vaccine would have to go through very rigorous phases of human trials, including the final phase, which would be a phase 3 randomized controlled trial, which would be double-blinded, which would have many, many thousands of participants who would get either the vaccine or the placebo, and then the results would need to be looked at and scrutinized very carefully. It's not clear to me, and I think this is also to most people, obviously, that whether this has really been performed rigorously, and I think this is one of the concerns around the rush to get this vaccine into the population.
Is it a red flag that it's only been a few months? I mean, like you say, these human trials have to be very widespread. So is there sort of certain benchmark timeframes for that sort of thing?
Well, we've already seen timeframes not only for vaccines but also for our therapeutics and trials really being improved. The way we do trials and modern technologies. So, but I mean, the most important thing here is that, it's really important trials and these phases of clinical assessment are done so that when you do vaccinate an entire population, you really know that you're vaccinating vaccine. And of course, very importantly, you know whether you are vaccinating with immunizing with a vaccine that's actually going to work. So we don't have enough information and understanding yet about this Russian vaccine, and therefore it's very difficult to comment. But I think there is certainly grounds for caution and concern.
So that approval follows less than 2 months of human testing. So maybe the flag there. Where would this leave South Africa? I mean, this sounds like something out of a movie that Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader, has given it to his daughter. And now maybe this will be distributed in Russia. Should South Africa assess it, or do we go with the WHO and with that process that most clinical trials around the world are following right now?
Yes, I mean, I think we need to stick with tried and tested methodology. And of course, as you know, South Africa is already playing a very important role in the global assessment of vaccines. There's a very important vaccine, the Oxford Chad vaccine that Professor Shabir Mahdi is leading research here in South Africa on that in phase 2B. And there's also been an announcement very recently that there'll hopefully be a phase 3 study, very large study of a vaccine, which will be run by Professor Glenda Gray and Professor Linda Gale Becker as the co-principal investigators, with a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, again based on an adenovirus vector that takes in a particular protein that the human body can mount an immune response to against this virus. So it's important that we continue with tried and tested practices, rapid as those must be. And I think that's what South Africa is doing, and doing very well.
I mean, there's so much hope for a vaccine, and the American president also saying maybe by November. Maybe that's giving people false hope. Do you personally have a time frame, an expectation right now when you think there could be a vaccine widely distributed so it really makes a difference to the way we're living because of COVID-19?
No, I don't think there's going to be a vaccine for many months to come. And, these vaccines really do have to go through these important trial stages. And I think, the Russian vaccine example, as you say, 2 months, I don't think that's right. And I think November is extremely optimistic. And I really would be looking to a vaccine later than this. And we have to, for those reasons, we have to really redouble and commit as citizens of South Africa to ensure the continuation of the interventions that we do have, the social distancing, the masking, the hand hygiene, and obviously getting medical attention if you're unwell and isolating. So these, people have heard these again and again, but these are the interventions that difference. And those are the ones that currently we have to focus on while the research continues.
Especially during the peak. And I'd like to ask you where you think South African provinces are right now. We know the Western Cape was levelling off. We've been speaking to experts who are saying the figures may be coming down in other provinces. KZN expected to reach its peak this week. Maybe even Gauteng heading there. But of course, it all depends on how much testing you're doing as well.
Absolutely. And I think there are other indicators which I have a lot more confidence in, and in particular hospital admissions. And so I work at Groote Hospital in Cape Town in the Western Cape, and we, like our other hospitals in this province, have seen a marked plateauing and even a reduction from the peak level that we saw 4 or 5 weeks ago. And that is absolutely very real, that we are seeing our hospital admissions are down for COVID-19 to an extreme. We're still getting admissions, but they have definitely reduced. And there are indications also from hospital admissions in Gauteng, perhaps in the Eastern Cape, that there is a plateauing there, and hopefully KZN will follow suit. So it seems as if certainly there is plateauing, and hopefully a slow reduction in the number of cases.
Yeah. And like you say, though, that vigilance still counts. So we get through the peak and people can't get lax. We've seen in other parts of the world little surges. Is that something to watch for?
Absolutely. I think we need to be very vigilant. I mean, this is not the time to abandon any of these measures. We're trying to get to grips with understanding exactly why South Africa's epidemic, certainly in the Western Cape and in the provinces, that it is plateauing, why that is actually. But I think we have to certainly celebrate that. However, we need to hang on to the key critical interventions that we do have, as I said, prior to, while we wait for hopefully a vaccine that will really impact very meaningfully.
And let's just end there. I mean, we cannot make light of any of the deaths. People have lost loved ones in this pandemic, and it's been horrible for families. But the actual mortality rate better than expected. Is there a general sense amongst sort of the medical fraternity that what was expected and what is materializing is very different, or do we still have to be on guard for those earlier predictions?
I think the medical community, as with the entire country, is very thankful that we haven't seen the sort of mortality case numbers that the worst case scenario predictions from modelling led us to. and that, that we are having this reduction. However, again, that's not to take away any of the facts that SARS-CoV-2, the COVID-19, it can be a very severe pneumonic illness. And, as you say, we have lost many, many people to this viral infection. And now, as we plateau and hopefully we reduce, we need to be very vigilant, and we will continue to be vigilant in looking for any potential possible of second waves, as we've seen elsewhere. And we need to be able to react to that. So while we start to change our, react to this change and think about how our health systems react to that, we still need to be very vigilant. And as citizens, we need to continue these really, really critical interventions that we all can play a role in.
All right, thank you for your time tonight. That was Professor Marc Mendelson from the University of Cape Town. We take a short break, lots more to come on The Full View.